I was more so always the quiet one. I do have social anxiety growing up, so it was totally a thing that after having my daughter, it was rough. Start with, first of all, hi, I'm Angela. Just to get up a little bit, get to know me a little bit. I'm Angela. I am a mom, a wife, all that quote unquote good stuff. And I started this channel because after having my daughter, it was rough. Not only pregnancy being just a wreck on the nerves, but then afterwards I would like a pile of mush pretty much. I too was born when my daughter was born, it seems like. So it's been a long journey. I have PCOS, so some health issues in that regard. And this channel was kind of my way of talking with others or putting myself out there in a way that I never had before, as I was more so always the quiet one. I do have social anxiety. I don't know. Growing up, so it was totally a thing that no wonder you stayed quiet, right? Because if you have social anxiety or if you dealt with it, you know that staying quiet, staying in the background, not causing any trouble or having people notice you, that's what you want. But as I got older and after I had my daughter, I realized I was not in the place I wanted to be, like physically, mentally, emotionally. Like the body was wrecked, the mental fortitude was wrecked, and so were my emotions. They were everywhere, which could be connected to hormones, but whatever. So this channel, what it means to me now, it did obviously take a lot of figuring out what I'm going to do. So if you look at some of the past videos, it's weird. There's a lot going on. I cleaned it up a bit, so hopefully going forward it's going to be easier to navigate. But it really stemmed from wanting to speak my truth, meaning instead of staying quiet, instead of just keeping my thoughts to myself, actually just saying them in some sort of semi-safe space, I suppose, because that's what I consider this. I've always thought it's interesting and good for people to discuss things and to bounce ideas off of each other and to kind of hold space for different ideas. Thank you for those who are joining in right now. So just bouncing ideas off of each other, figuring things out, learning from each other, as well as finding my people. I know it's hard to get out there when you don't really know where to go, especially now how the world is. It's hard to find like third spaces, I think it's called, where places where you're not at work, you're not going grocery shopping, but places where people can actually spend time together and hang out or have the option to hang out, be it parks, community centers, those things. And so this is my way of reaching out, and hopefully the algorithm, YouTube, as well as you who are watching, it can help me figure out where are my people at, pretty much. Because I, for one, am not the most active person. Like, I'm not gonna be just going in crowds of 50 to 100 people asking everybody to be my friend. That'd be weird, and I'm not about that. Channel will also be about the big and little questions, meaning little questions wise, we'll be talking about fun things, movies, anime, games, things that are maybe weird and maybe you haven't thought that much about it, or I have, and I'm like, let me just ask the weird question that this movie, this game, or this anime kind of left hanging, or I'm just like, hey, let's take a step back. But also the big questions, trying to figure out, why are we here? What are we doing? What are our belief systems? What do we really see community as? What are our actual truths, values, the things that kind of make life. Because for me, I found it personally that it's important to kind of know yourself, because once you know yourself, you kind of know your own boundaries, you know your lines, you know what you're about, you know when something crosses a boundary, you've thought of these things. So yeah, what can you expect from this channel? One, authenticity. I'm just going to talk, and thank you for those joining in. Authenticity, because I am trying not to censor myself. Like I said, I grew up with social anxiety, so that was something that, was I going to voice my opinion? No. I was just going to keep quiet and just, think my thoughts. But now, as a grown woman, and also someone trying to, break out of the shell that I guess I put myself in and trying to figure out who I am, I'm going to say what I want to say, but also in a, an understanding way. I'm not just going to be a jerk. It's just, asking the questions, figuring things out, and hoping to learn from you and all that good stuff. This is also a space, I think, to hold judgment, to not judge. Like, we can really ask the weird questions, ask the funny questions, poke fun at things, but also like sincerely talk about them when needed to be, or like what we're actually doing here, right? Well, that's kind of my spiel. I am really big on like growth and learning and understanding oneself, and so hopefully as we go through this, we can grow and learn together. Okay, now that we're done with that, let's jump into what we're actually all here for, maybe, is the actual question. The question that today's topic is sorry, I lost my train of thought for a second. Spirituality and science, and why people think they can't coexist.